Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
It's great to be back.
Today we're going to be diving deep into 7 ways to keep your dreams, a piece that really caught my eye. I think it has a ton of valuable insights for anyone, looking to improve themselves, reach their goals, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. And I think what's particularly interesting about this piece is that it approaches self-improvement from a bunch of different angles. It's not just about, setting goals and working hard. It's also about understanding yourself better, your place in the world.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And there's this one concept that really stood out to me right off the bat, embodied design thinking. It's basically this idea of like when you're designing something, anything, really, you got to imagine yourself as the product.
Oh, yeah. I love that concept. It's about putting yourself in the user's shoes, but like on a much deeper level.
Right, like really getting into their headspace.
Exactly. And that's something that a lot of really successful companies do. Like IDEO, they're famous for using this approach. They call it empathy in design
Well,
thinking.
Liffy, yeah.
Really understanding the needs, the desires of the people who are going to be using your product. So like if you're designing a chair, you wouldn't just think about how it looks.
Right.
You'd think about how it feels to actually sit in it. Like what's the experience of being the chair supporting someone's weight?
Wow. I've never thought of it like that before, being the chair.
Right. It's a totally different way of thinking about design.
That's amazing. Okay, so moving on. Another thing that this piece really emphasizes is the importance of gratitude and giving back, helping others.
Yeah, and that's something that's been backed up by a lot of research lately.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Studies have shown that practicing gratitude, really appreciating what you have and helping others, it can actually have a huge impact on your overall well-being.
So it's not just about like feeling good in the moment.
Not at all. It's about actually rewiring your brain, training it to focus on the positive.
Mm.
And it's also about building stronger social connections, which, we know are essential for happiness.
It's like this whole ripple effect.
Exactly.
That's incredible. And speaking of shifting our perspective, looking at things in a more positive light, another key takeaway from this piece is about how we view our mistakes.
Oh, yeah, mistakes. We all make them.
All the time, right? But the piece talks about how we can actually reframe these mistakes as valuable lessons. And I got to say, I've totally experienced this in my own life.
In what way?
Well, I used to be so hard on myself whenever I messed up. It was like I'd just dwell on it forever. But over time, I've learned that some of my biggest failures, the things I thought were disasters at the time, they actually ended up leading to amazing opportunities.
Oh, I love that. It's like that saying, every cloud has a silver lining.
Exactly. But I'm curious, what's the best way to actually shift our thinking about mistakes? How can we stop beating ourselves up and start seeing them as opportunities for growth?
Well, it all comes down to developing what's called a growth mindset.
Growth mindset. Okay.
Yeah, it's this idea that, instead of seeing our abilities as fixed, we see them as something that we can constantly develop and improve.
I like that. So like instead of saying, I'm bad at this, you'd say, I'm not good at this yet.
Exactly. It's that not yet that makes all the difference. It keeps you open to learning and growing.
So it's about changing our inner dialogue, turning that negative self-talk into something more constructive.
Absolutely.
Okay, so another point that really resonated with me from this piece is about the power of living in the present moment. It's so easy to get caught up in the past, dwelling on regrets or worrying about the future.
Oh, I know, especially in today's world, right?
Yeah, it's like we're constantly bombarded with
Yeah.
information, deadlines, expectations. It's hard to just be present.
It is, but there are actually some really simple things you can do to cultivate mindfulness, which is all about being present.
Like what?
Well, one technique that I find really helpful is focusing on your breath.
Your breath. Okay.
Yeah, just take a few minutes each day to sit or lie down comfortably and just notice the sensation of your breath as it enters and leaves your body.
So simple.
It is simple, but it's incredibly powerful. It helps to bring your attention back to the present moment and quiet all that mental chatter.
I'm definitely going to try that. Okay, so moving on. The next idea from this piece is about replacing I can't with not yet.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's about shifting our language, and I think that can have a huge impact on our mindset.
Oh, absolutely. That not yet mindset, it's all about possibility. It's about believing in your ability to learn and grow.
It's like giving yourself permission to be a work in progress.
Exactly. We're all constantly evolving, right? There's always more to learn, more to experience.
Love that. Okay, so the next thing this piece talks about is setting personal rules for sustainable success.
Ah, Yes, rules. They might sound restrictive, but they can actually be incredibly liberating.
How so?
Well, think about it. When you have clear boundaries, clear guidelines for yourself, it actually frees up your mental energy. You don't have to constantly be making decisions, second guessing yourself. You know what you need to do, and you just do it.
It's like having a framework for decision making.
Right, exactly. So, for example, if you value your health, you might set a rule for yourself like no screen time after 9 p.m. or I'm going to exercise for at least 30 minutes every day.
Right. So it's about creating those healthy habits, making them automatic.
Exactly.
Okay. And finally, the last point from 7 ways to keep your dreams is about what they call the dreamless path.
Ah, yes. This is an interesting one.
Yeah, because so much self-improvement advice is all about setting big goals, having this grand vision for your future.
Right, right. But what this point suggests is that, maybe we don't always need that. Maybe we can find meaning and purpose in the everyday, in the small things.
So it's not about abandoning goals altogether. It's just about recognizing that fulfillment can come from other sources as well.
Exactly. It's about being present, appreciating what you have, and finding joy in the journey, not just the destination.
I love that. So we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about embodied design thinking, the power of gratitude and giving back, reframing mistakes, living in the present moment, the not yet mindset, setting personal rules, and finding fulfillment on a dreamless path.
Phew, that's quite a list.
It is. But before we wrap up, I'm curious, if you had to pick just one thing for our listeners to take away from this deep dive, what would it be?
That's a tough one. But I think I'd encourage them to pick just one of these principles, the one that resonates with them the most, and start experimenting with it. Try it out in their own lives, see how it feels.
It's about taking action, right? Not just listening to the ideas, but actually putting them into practice.
Exactly, because that's how real change happens.
Well said. So, to our listeners, pick your principle, give it a try, and let us know how it goes. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Until next time.
See ya.